Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to discuss this morning. Some more interesting quotes coming out from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and this interview that he did with VG in Norway. Yesterday we were talking about, he doesn't take responsibility for the training. A bit of an insight into what his United plan is. We'll talk about that. Also some transfer news around Ramos, Konate and more importantly I think Kounde, another striker that we might be looking at. And also just a reminder that Ollie's press conference is at 1 o'clock today. So we'll be live at about 1:45 with a reaction. Because they're normally a little bit longer for the Europa League anyway because of all the translation and stuff like that. But we're going to start off, we'll start off with these quotes coming. I mean, to be honest with you, over the last few days, there has been quite a few stories, as we've discussed already, that Jules Kounde is Manchester United's priority signing. Now, look, I'd love to jump on board with that. I'd love to get excited about that. I certainly think that Alaba's going to Real Madrid, and obviously we know Upamecano's going to Bayern. To be honest, it's the second time I've watched Upamecano this season and thought maybe he would not be the solution for Manchester United. He was dodgy again last night. Although not directly at fault for either goal. He just doesn't look very commanding to me. But a few quotes to bring you from Laurie Whitwell, who is a Manchester United correspondent with The Athletic, and this is what he said in their Talk of the Devils podcast. I've asked repeatedly about Sergio Ramos, presumably the club, and I've been told no. So I'd like to park this one there. I would be amazed if this happened. So Ramos looking unlikely, which I think is good news. I'd take Ramos over nobody, but if we're not going for Ramos, then surely we're going for somebody. And as I said, I think a couple of days ago about Ramos, I can't see it happening. I think it would be a risk, even though I still think he's one of the best centre-backs in the world. It would be a risk to bring him to the Premier League at 35. It would be expensive. And I just, we're not going to take the captaincy off Harry Maguire. And you could never play Sergio Ramos in a Manchester United shirt next to Harry Maguire with Harry Maguire the captain. It just wouldn't work. He would demand, and quite rightly so, demand that he is the captain. And I don't think United or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer want to do that. But the next most interesting quote, I believe, is this. Centre-back is certainly something Man United are looking at. They looked last season but decided against it. Well, I wish they bloody hadn't. Ibrahima Konate is a name that was mentioned, which I think could come under consideration again. However, what he did say is that Jules Kounde is another name being mentioned. I think it might be the leading candidate if I was to put money on it, but there's a lot of time ahead and I'm reluctant to pin my colours to any particular mast. So basically Laurie Whitwell saying that Kounde would be the player that he thinks Manchester United are looking at, but it is only February and there's a lot of time left ahead. So he's reluctant to pin his contract. But I disagree on this. This is something I disagree on, that there's plenty of time left. There's not plenty of time left, and it's not only February. This time last year, we had a deal for Grealish in principle more or less done. So, comparable to where we are now, if you want summer targets, you can't wait till April. And this is what Fabrizio Romano was on about in his podcast last week, saying that Man United will decide which centre-back they want in the coming months. Well, we may well end up with Tyrone Mings or Ben White, because these top-class targets will be gone. Already in a week, we've seen Upamecano go, and I think Alaba's basically gone. You can't keep waiting. You've got to move. And the reality is, for me, if Alaba's gone and Upamecano's gone, then realistically, Kounde is the one. I mean, Ramos isn't going to come either. Varane, I think, will stay at Real Madrid. So suddenly, that's 4 top-quality targets gone. And I think Kounde's the last top-quality one there. And people will talk about Konate and they'll talk about Badiashile, but realistically, Kounde is top echelon. And when you look at Barcelona last night, I don't know how much money they've got. I don't know how much money Liverpool have got. Chelsea seem to want a centre-back as well. There is going to be really stiff competition. We can't be sat there waiting and seeing how the land lies in April. You've got to move now. And the reality is, are Manchester United a club that does that? We're not really a club that goes out and grabs the opportunity, because what we want to do is we want to spend the summer chiselling away at the fee trying to get a couple of million off. Well, you can't do that when you're competing for very good players that a lot of other clubs want. So we've got to move for it. But I'm with regards to Konate, I'm out. Scooby-Doo, I'm out. I'm taking my money and I'm out, because the reason I'm out for Konate now is because I can't move past his injury record. It's a real issue for me. I can't do it. I can't do it because I'm a hypocrite. Now, if we do buy Konate, obviously I'm going to back him. I think he's a good player and I hope he does well at Manchester United. But there's a big red flag. And when we bought Eric Bailly, he'd been injured 3 times in the year before we bought him. And lo and behold, he was injury prone. When we bought Delot, he was injured. And lo and behold, he was injury prone. Konate, in the last year and a half, so in October 2019, torn muscle, 225 days out. In May 2020, torn muscle, 2 weeks out. In July 2020, torn muscle, 96 days out. In October, fitness issues, 10 days out. And in December, ankle injury, 49 days out. He's missed nearly a year in injuries in the last year and a half. So that worries me. That really does worry me. And I don't know what you think. I just don't think we can do... What do we want? We want a top class centre back to play next to Harry Maguire or Lindelof or Twente, whatever. We need a top class centre back. What's the point in buying a top class centre back elect who's only going to be as fit as Eric Bailly was? Is that not what Eric Bailly's been? And I'm not using Phil Jones as the example because he's just injured. He's not a top class centre back. But Eric Bailly, in some people's eyes, not mine, is a top class centre back, but we can't use him because he's always injured. Well, is Konate not the same sort of player then because he's an injured centre back? I don't want Konate. I don't. I think United can't take any risks. We're not Liverpool. We're not Manchester City. We don't have an amazing, title-winning side potentially. We don't have that. We need to bring in people like Bruno Fernandes who are fit every week and make a difference. We don't need to bring, potentially top-class centre-backs with a very worrying injury record. It's a bit like that film Moneyball. You've got to look at these players. Why is Axel never talked about, says Xander? I don't know, Xander. I don't know. I don't know. I can't give you the answer on that because I don't know. Morning night, Mark. United were offered a chance to sign up Upamecano in 2015 for 1.5 million. And how can we trust this board and Woodward after last shambolic transfer window, says Andy. So for me, the update there is that United are looking at Konate, but Kounde seems to be the priority. I think United need to try and get this deal done. I know it'd be very hard to get the deal done because Sevilla are actually playing in the Champions League tonight and they might not want to let him go. But this goes back to what I was talking about yesterday morning. If it's going to take 60 million to get Kounde, just do the deal because I'd rather get Kounde than Sancho at this point. We're crying out for a centre back. We cannot keep. And I saw another article yesterday talking about David De Gea. We cannot keep ignoring the fact that our centre backs are the biggest issue in that team, and then the second issue is the centre defensive midfielder. So I don't think we should be waiting. I think we should be doing everything we can in our power because unfortunately what the scary thing for me now is, and why I think we will mess this transfer window up and end up with somebody shit like Mings or Ben White, and when I say shit I mean like in relation to they're not top 4 centre backs. I think even 2 weeks ago we probably had 5 candidates that you'd go I'd be happy with 3 of them, but they're all gone now. Ramos is not coming to United. Varane will stay at Real Madrid. Alaba's going to Real Madrid. And Upamecano's gone to Bayern Munich. For me, and Konate is injury prone. So I think it's Kounde or we're scraping the barrel again. So United know what they need to do. I'll guarantee they'll mess it up though. Mings is a legend, says F. Woody. You can keep him at Villa, thanks. I know a lot of Villa fans who'd love him to go anyway. The next thing I want to talk about is Andre Silva at Eintracht Frankfurt. You might know a little bit about this guy. Still in his early 20s, really. He was part of that. Remember when AC Milan spent loads and loads of money and bought loads of players? He went to AC Milan. I think they got him from Porto and didn't do very well, didn't score many goals. He's now playing at Eintracht Frankfurt and he's on fire again. So he's been linked with Manchester United by Sky Germany. And they mention a deal for about 30 million euros. Now, he's an interesting player, Andre Silva. I'm surprised he's not going to Wolves. I think he'd be absolutely perfect for Wolves. I do. I think he's almost a bit like a Raul Jimenez. He's got a bit of everything about him. He can score goals. He's not bad off both feet. I think he's just over 6'1". He's not super fast, but he's not slow. He can hold the ball up. He can score goals with his feet and with his head. He's a good all-round striker. And I think he'd be an asset. I really do. And as I said, because of the Portuguese connection, I'm very, very... he's 25 actually, sorry, says Lad Jose. I still thought he was about 23. But yeah, because he's Portuguese, I would be very surprised that he doesn't go to Wolves, because I think Wolves need a striker like that, especially for that sort of price. I'd be surprised if United went for him, but he probably wouldn't be a terrible striker for Man United to go for, because we're not looking for a first teamer. We're looking for a sort of backup striker, aren't we? And, you know, I mean, look, I know Flex and KG spoke about it last night, and I agree with the point of that topic, that there are a lot of United fans, there's probably a lot of you that would love Erling Haaland. But is it now not the time to stop looking at these £100 million strikers, £150 million strikers, and look at Mason Greenwood? He's just signed a contract to 2025. He's not a winger. He's a number 9. He's 19. He's going to be 20 next. At what point do you start... I mean, look, Mbappe's not that much older than Greenwood. Haaland's not that much older than Greenwood. At what point does Greenwood stop being a young potential player and start being a player that you start to give him a chance? You know, Rashford at the same age was a first teamer. So I think the time is, you know, I wouldn't spend, and I know a lot of you would, and I accept that, and I think maybe I'm in the minority here, but I think it's time that we stop thinking about people like Erling Haaland and we start thinking about people like Mason Greenwood. You know, we've got a young striker there that we need to start building out, and we've got an experienced striker in Cavani. So should Greenwood not become the understudy to Cavani, who plays, and we start to play him into the team? And let's not forget, you know, you've got people like Hugill, you've got people like McNeil, you know, they're both, I think, 17. You know, next sort of 18 months, one of those you would hope might start coming through at Manchester United. I'll tell you what, I've got to tell you, I've got unbelievable stomach cramps. Really bad. I've never had this before. All I had was porridge and some blueberries, and I think the blueberries might be a bit off. Oh, God. I'll get through it. I've got to get through it. It comes in waves, doesn't it? That's what she said. It really does. I can only be honest. Thanks for the super chat, Jason Walters. And I think United should buy Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Well, I disagree, Lucas. I disagree, because I think that the money that it would cost, you know, I don't really care if people agree with me or not, because it's all about opinion. But I would pose the question: why would you buy Calvert-Lewin for 90 million? Why would you buy Harry Kane for 150 million? Why would you buy Haaland for 100 million? Why would you buy these players when you've got Mason Greenwood? Like, if you buy those players, you're basically confining Mason Greenwood to the bench for the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Because if you believe, like I do, that Greenwood can be anything he wants to be, well, where's he going to play? He's not really a right winger. He's doing a good job on the right wing, but he's not a right winger, is he? He's a striker. So what's the build-out for Greenwood? And I personally agree that the build-out for Greenwood should be to build him up as the number 9. Cramp Bridge says Skane. Yeah, I have got a bit of cramp. There you go. And, yes, so Mengi playing right back for Derby, back up to Wan-Bissaka next season, says Rob the Red. I'd like to see Mengi coming through as a right back. We should approach our next boss, and if he wants the job, work on his targets for a smooth summer. Ollie repeats the same errors over and over, and I've lost the faith, says Wayne List. Ooh, interesting there. To be honest, we have no ideas how he is as a striker. I agree, Denton. I do. But that's why we need to surely give him a chance. I'm not saying, like, you know, what I would like to see over the next 18 months is, because remember, Haaland's available in 18 months. His contract's, his release clause kicks in. So if you do want Haaland, I haven't got a problem with that. But, you know, I don't think he'll move this summer. I don't think people will have the money. So I think he'll go next summer and there'll be a big mad race for him. But what I want to see over the next 18 months is, let's see what Mason Greenwood can do up front. Now, if he's not suitable as a Manchester United number 9, then the summer after this one, maybe you do go for a top striker. But I just think over the next 18 months, especially with Cavani there, let's start using Mason Greenwood. Of course, you've got the Anthony Martial issue as well. I accept that. Do you think we should buy Anthony as a right winger from Ajax instead of Sancho, says Felaby? I do quite like Anthony at Ajax. I do quite like him. I think he's decent. Andre Silva is the brother of Diego Jota, says Jay Hardstyles. And I want to bring this in now. I just want to talk about what Ollie said in an interview. He was talking about his principles. Now, this is interesting. He says, to give youth a chance, give players with other qualities a chance, play in a different way, give the coaches enough time to implement the playing style and playing patterns. So what Solskjaer is talking about there is he's talking about time. I need time. I need time to develop the youth. And what he was talking about in the context is that when he came into the club, and he said this a few times, they knew that there were going to be dips. They knew that there was going to be ups and downs but they had to, have courage in their conviction of where they're going. Now, look, some people will be impatient and say, well, no, he's been here coming up for, he's been here over 2 years now. He's got to start implementing some consistency. I could sort of agree that. But on the other hand, I agree with Ollie that, the path that has been taken was going to be bumpy. You've got to remove players. You've got a board that doesn't really back you. It's going to take time. I agree with that. But I do think we are getting to the point now where the next sort of 20 games, because there should be about 20 games if we get through in the Europa League, about 14 games in the Premier League and obviously quarter-final of the FA Cup. You'd expect us to play another 20 games this season. I don't think they can be a bumpy ride. I don't think you can finish 5th and win no trophies and say, come on, let's go another year. I mean, United board might think that that's acceptable, but I think you'll lose a lot of fans that way. So, I find the comments interesting. I don't necessarily disagree with the comments, but I don't think there's any more time, Ollie. I don't think there's any more, there's still some bumps in the road. There will be bumps in the road. No one's expecting you to win the title this year now, but you've still got to get top 4. You can't take steps backwards. But it was interesting that he says give youth a chance. I think Solskjaer's record around the youth has been okay. I think it could be better. I don't think this season we've seen a lot of the youth, although we are now seeing people like Hannibal and Shortire training with the first team, and obviously Amad Diallo's not a youth player, so you can't really call him a youth player. But I'd like to see a little bit more around the youth, but things are starting to happen, and you could use the COVID restrictions as an excuse, I suppose. What I found the most interesting thing is when he said give players with other qualities a chance. I can't get my head around that one. I don't know what that means. Give players with other qualities a chance. Play in a different way. Give the coaches enough time to implement the playing style and playing patterns. How long does a coach need to implement the playing style and playing patterns? Brendan Rodgers did it very, very quickly in the matter of months, weeks at Leicester. And there's plenty of other coaches that get it done in weeks or months. Lampard, to be fair, did it in about 2 months at Chelsea last season. So why would we need 2 years to implement playing patterns? And I disagree with that. I think after 2 years we should know the playing patterns and playing style of Manchester United. And I still don't think we do know that. But I think that to me fits in with give players with other qualities a chance, because I don't think we've got playing patterns, because I think we've got players with the wrong qualities being given a chance. So maybe, Ollie's not saying it in that way, but I found that bit the weirdest bit. Give players with other qualities a chance. What other qualities could that mean? Is that giving passion merchants a chance over players with ability? I don't get what that is. Give youth a chance, yes. Play a different way, yes. Give the coaches enough time to implement playing style and playing patterns. Well, I think we should be there by now, but yes. Give players with other qualities a chance. I can't get my head around that one. I don't really know what it means. I'd like a bit more clarity. I'm not knocking it. I just don't know what it means. Give players with other qualities a chance. What other qualities? Comparable to who? Oh, I've got another wave again. I reckon Ollie's got a doll of me or something. Oh, my eyes are watering. God. Europa is perfect chance to use Greenwood up top, says Ivan Scan. I've never had this before on a stream. Oh, Jesus. God, people who are pregnant have got no idea what it's like to have stomach cramps. That's going to really cause trouble with the women. It was a joke. Gravenbach from Ajax would be a good signing at CDM, says Randall. He's a client of Jose Mourinho. He's a client of Mino Raiola, though. Hi, Mark. This is Yankin from Hong Kong. Would you take Valverde, Pogba swap deal if he really decides to leave in the summer? Thanks for the context. I saw a story about that this morning, but I don't know how reliable it is about Valverde. I'll probably pick up on that on the evening show tonight because I want to talk about Pogba tonight, a little bit later. But yeah, it's interesting. And Gravenbach is a Raiola client, says Zero Blade 57. Have you seen the Rafinha rumours of Leeds, says Salah Ahmed? I have. I mean, I don't necessarily rate the source, but there is talk that Liverpool and Manchester United are interested in Rafinha from Leeds. I mean, he plays off the right-hand side. He's quite creative. And I don't necessarily feel that I would like him, and I don't know whether it's a Leeds thing because we do have a big rivalry with Leeds. But if you know, Rafinha to me is a bit of a flair player. To be honest with you, Rafinha's a bit like Greenwood, isn't he? You know, he's a flair player. Is he the creative source that we need? I just want a winger whose primary objective is to create. They're not a dying breed. There's a lot of wingers like this who know their job is to create the chances for their striker, and that's what United need. And I'm hoping Diallo can be that. Interestingly enough, against the Sociedad tomorrow, you can name 12 subs. So we should have some youngsters on the bench. Doesn't mean we'll use them. I think the Manchester Evening News, somebody in the Manchester Evening News was saying that they were talking about the youth, and they were saying, you know, maybe there'll be a chance to use some of the youth because we should beat Sociedad. And I was like, whoa, I think you're sleeping on Sociedad here. It was like they were top of the league, but now they're fifth. And United, if they turn up, should be able to get rid of them. And I don't know. I mean, look, you never know in Europe. It's difficult, isn't it? Liverpool beat Leipzig quite well yesterday, but I don't think United, even if they play well, will make easy work of Sociedad. I think it'll be a tough game regardless. I agree the board doesn't back Ollie. Still, he has the players to stay in the top four, but Ollie's favouritism and not playing with Van der Beek will cost him how much time he needs. Well, look, I've got no idea what he means by give players with other qualities a chance, but I'm just wondering if it means give players who are hard workers a chance instead of players that have got quality. I don't know. Sancho's the perfect right winger, says Pascal. And Mark, if Mason to move to striker, he will need to bulk up, says Denton. Well, he's bulking up anyway, isn't he? I think he's bulked up from last summer, and I think he'll bulk up again. But I'm talking about the next 18 months with Mason Greenwood. Are you okay, Mark? I'm worried. I'll be fine. I think I know what I need to do after the stream, but you know, nobody wants to get stomach cramps when they're live streaming because you know there's a requirement to carry on. Isn't there? So please smash a like on the video, by the way. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was linked with a move to Real Madrid yesterday. I forgot to bring this into the morning show. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was linked with a move to Real Madrid yesterday. I'd filed this story under bullshit. We wouldn't sell Wan-Bissaka anyway, and Real Madrid haven't got any money. So yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes you just get silly stories. So they wouldn't want Wan-Bissaka at Real Madrid. Wan-Bissaka's not a Real Madrid right back for a start. I mean, he's a very good right back, but he's not a continental right back. You know, you think about the right backs or full backs of teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid, and Wan-Bissaka, he wouldn't last 5 minutes there. They would be booing him very, very quickly because his traits are defensive, and I think he can improve going forward, but They wouldn't want that at Real Madrid. I like Wan-Bissaka, but he's not a Real Madrid right back. No, not at all. Not at all. Also, Rafinha we've spoken about. Ollie's comments we've spoken about, and we've spoken about the Andre Silva story as well. Werner. Don't know what you're talking about. Chelsea needs a good fan channel, doesn't it? Because we do get some Chelsea fans on here, and I almost feel like they're lost. They come to this great fan channel for content because they haven't got one for themselves. Camavinga, says Dominic. I think Camavinga is going to go to Real Madrid. I saw something about Camavinga the other day. What was it? Camavinga might stay he's at Rennes, isn't he, for another year so that he can go to Real Madrid because he wants to go to Real Madrid. But I don't know whether Zidane's going to be the manager of Real Madrid in a year. There's lots of interesting things. So yeah, I think it's interesting what might happen there, but you know, it's not a player that Man United are going to get. Charlie says, "Hi Mark, Rice or Kounde, Sancho or Youth, McTominay or Fred?" Too many questions, Charlie. Moving on. And St Maximum is a right winger, says Sean. No, not for me. I like watching St Maximum, but he's either really good or he's like Bambi on ice. He's just legs everywhere. I don't think he's a top four winger, really. I think he's a really interesting watch. You watch what he'll do to us on Sunday now, but no, I don't think he's a top four player. I haven't watched Newcastle a lot this season, but I've tried to watch Maximum a few times, and because he is a right winger that was mentioned by us, but no. I still think Adama Traore would be a risky shout, but I wouldn't go for St Maximum, as popular as he is. I do like Dwight McNeil, Matthew, but I don't think he'd be a player. I don't think he's top four standard. And Is Pogba leaving? Bad for United, says YK White. I don't know, he's injured at the moment. And modern day JJ Okocha, says Cristiano Ronaldo's... No. JJ Okocha was absolute... He did bits. He was actually a top quality player. I think that's disrespectful to Okocha, to be honest with you. Mark, thoughts on Solskjaer being added to the Europa League B list? Do you think he will play? I think he'll be on the bench tomorrow, and we can name 12 substitutes, so I think he will be on the bench tomorrow. Oh, here we go. Actually, just reminded me of something that I forgot to talk about yesterday as well. Do you think Manchester United should regret loaning out Jesse Lingard? Now, it's not... I think people will answer it instantly, and my instant answer is yes and no. I'm not doing a flex and sitting on the bench, but on the fence. But what I am saying is that obviously Lingard had something to offer, not in the first team, maybe from the bench, but he obviously had something to offer. And listening to his comments that he came back from lockdown, he was one of the fittest and strongest players in the squad, and he was waiting for his chance, and it never came. Well, when we're sat here talking about how Ollie doesn't make subs and he doesn't use the bench, I do think that maybe Lingard should have been given more opportunity, because I do think that a player like Lingard, the way he's playing for West Ham in the last 20 minutes of games, might have just offered something, which I don't think many of our bench players can offer. But then you look at the way Van der Beek's been treated, who is a better player than Lingard, and you think, well, actually... would he have used him anyway? Well, no, he wouldn't have used him. So, look, it's a great move for Lingard, and it's great for Lingard to put himself in the window for England and, maybe a move. And I think he is going to have to move. He's never going to get into the Man United's first team, is he? So, I don't think United were wrong to loan him, because Solskjaer made the decision that he didn't want to use him. But I think he would have offered us more than Juan Mata or Jesse Lingard, but I think it's a good move for him. I still think Nagelsmann needs more time before joining a big club. Still tactically naive. I'm not sure he can set up like last night in the Premier League, says Ben Anderson. And I think Nagelsmann will end up at Spurs. I think Nagelsmann will be the next Spurs manager. Watching on the 20th birthday mark. Great start to the morning. Thanks for all you do. The videos are a great lift through lockdown, says Paul Downey. Thank you very much. Remember, the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference is going to be about 1 o'clock today, UK time. So we will be live at about 1:45 with a reaction to that. Thoughts on Thiago, says Harry. Very, very quickly. I would have loved him to come to Man United, but I'm not convinced he suits the Premier League. He just seems to slow Liverpool down a lot. And Ollie isn't getting the best out of our players, says Jason Vieira. We are still second in the league. I still think that I get the frustration. It's very difficult to be sat watching Champions League football and Manchester United not being in it, and that is very frustrating, I agree. It's also going to be a frustrating week because we're playing on a Thursday night at 5 to 6. It's not even Thursday night. I'm not having that. It's Thursday evening, late afternoon. Embarrassing. And we've just dropped 9 points from our last 15. So, things are not going great. However, we're not at tipping point yet. Far from it. We are. And Solskjaer spoke about this. He said that... he spoke about it in this interview. I'm not going to get this word for word, but he said words to the effect of... you expect it at Manchester United. It's always a drama, but sometimes the drama isn't really as big as people think. You can see the late goal against Everton and, it's all over the headlines, but it's not really that bad. I thought, that's best kept for Norwegian press, Ollie, because that's not really what United fans want to hear. It's not the fact that we drew with Everton that was the problem with that. It's how we drew with Everton, Ollie. The fact that... your centre-backs are shit, basically. That's the issue. I think sometimes it's a coping mechanism from professional sports people, managers, football clubs to describe criticism as hysteria. And we've heard this before. But the Everton draw was not because we drew with Everton. A few people predicted a draw with Everton. But the problem is that was a win. It wasn't a draw, it was a win, and in the last 5 seconds we drew because we couldn't defend, and we should be able to defend. So that's not hysteria, that's not overreaction. There are draws this season like Liverpool, there are draws this season like Man City, where people have gone, well, we played a bit negative, but it's a good draw. We're not, it wasn't headline news, terrible result. But in relation to the Everton result, that's not hysteria. That's not overreaction. That's incompetence in relation to the defence. The best main centre-back targets we should try to sign in the summer. Wait a minute, Jules. Wait a minute, David. I've got another wave here. Oh, Don't worry, I'm not going to trump on air. I'm just trying to take the pressure off my stomach for a minute. It's gone. David Bays says, the best main centre-back targets we should try to sign in the summer. Jules Kounde first, Pau Torres second, Badiashile third, Konate fourth. I don't mind that, David, but the problem is I think there's a big drop-off from first. And it's about time Solskjaer got his first choice. Pau Torres is a risk. Badiashile is a risk. And Konate is a huge risk. We shouldn't be buying risks. We're trying to close a gap on teams that are better than us. You don't close a gap on teams better than you by making risky signings. We got away with it, Cavani. That was a risk. But we didn't get a centre-back and a right winger anyway in the summer. We can't buy Torres. We can't buy Badiashile and we can't buy Konate because they're all risks in different ways. You've got to go and get Kounde. Now, Kounde might not work, but at least it's the top targets. And that's what we need to go and do because the top targets are running out really fast. Really, really fast. Kounde is still a risk. Well, yeah, every signing's a risk, but he's the best target we can go for. The reef for those watching this seated on the bog, says Katie. Glazers and Woodward love only themselves, says Ramtia. And Twansebi could be a good CDM, says Dominic. Oh, God, here we go again. And what about Diego Carlos, says Hamza. And Mark, would you be happy if Nagelsmann became Man United manager? No, not really. I'm not at the point where I need to replace the Man United manager. I know some of you are, but I'm not at that point at all. I keep saying to people, I'm not going to make. Maybe Ollie is the man, maybe he's not the man. But for me, you don't make a decision till May anyway. So talking about a new manager is just ridiculous at the moment. Rudrum says, what about Botman and Milenkovic? I mean, look, there will be other targets and we've got to assess those as and when Man United get linked to them. But I'm doing a Man City-Everton watch-along tonight, Hassan. It's at 8:15. So we'll be slightly early on the 8 o'clock show tonight. And HP6 says the press conference is at 6 p.m. tonight because of European games. MUTV says it's at 1 o'clock, mate. So I'll go with that, actually, unless it's going to change. It did say 6 p.m. last night, but it's now saying 1 p.m. So we will see about that. It might change. I don't want Ben White and I don't want Tyrone Mings at all at Manchester United. So there you go. There is a career mode this afternoon, Shaggy. It'll be about 1:30 for that as well. Please do download the Flick app, by the way. We've now got over 15,000 United Stand members on there. 24/7 chat groups all day. Polls and quizzes. Free to download. It's on Apple and Android. The link is in the video description. Give it a download. You can continue United Stand chat 24/7 on your phones and on your digital displays, whatever they call them these days. Links in the video description for that. But Mark, did you hear we could have got De Jong, De Ligt and Upamecano in 2016? We need to get Kounde or this defence will hold us back from trophies, says Fergus. Yeah, whatever we need to do, we need to, and it is Haaland versus Kounde tonight as well. I will have that on the other screen. It won't be the main thing I'm watching, but I'm just going to keep it on just to keep an eye on that as well. But I'll mainly be watching Man City versus Everton. But I will have my other screen for the Kounde versus Haaland show, which should be good. Kounde, I reckon, would be about 60 to 70 million pounds. Anyway, I'm just about to get another wave, so I better get off and get on something. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. I'll see you for Ollie's press conference reaction. I think it's going to be at about 1:30, but somebody said 6 there. I'm pretty sure it's 1:30. We'll see you for that. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And don't forget to download the Flick app. I'll speak to you in a bit.